Yeah.
Can I ask that everyone mute their phones, please? Or their computers, excuse me.
I get that. Thank you for doing something.
Good morning. This is Maureen Wilt. I am chair this year for FEWC. We're going to wait just another moment, probably 9:01, then we'll go ahead and get started. I'm going to ask that if you are not speaking today, if you could please mute your phone as well as your video. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to just start with a couple of housekeeping issues.
Show us the computer show. Can you take us off the video?
Or turn off your video and mute your phone if you are not a speaker today. And we will go ahead and get started. I want to welcome everyone to our semi-annual virtual meeting. This is our first opportunity to meet with everyone since the pandemic shut down so much of what we do in society. We have condensed our meeting. For those of you that are familiar with our organization, typically we meet twice a year in person. And we intended to hold a meeting in July. And of course, that was canceled. We thought back then that we might be able to have a meeting in September in person. And of course, we all know that that was not going to be possible. So here we are with you at the end of September virtually. We have consolidated our meeting. If you'll notice, our agenda is going to be from 9 until noon. We have promised as a executive team to keep everyone on track and on time so that we don't go over. I know many of us have been involved in virtual meetings before. We hope we've taken the best practices. And so although we would love to see your faces, we also know that with so many people on the phone, that might be a little distracting. And we also understand that you may be multitasking while you're in this meeting today. So again, although we would love to see your faces, we don't want the distraction if folks are multitasking or have other things happening in their virtual or home office during the meeting. So I hope you can understand that request of ours. As I said, my name is Maureen Wilt. I am honored to be your chair this year for the Florida Energy Workforce Consortium. I have big shoes to fill. Marlon Vaughn has been our chair for the last 2 years. He jumped in both feet and so much enthusiasm to lead this organization for the last 2 years. He is now our past chair, continues to be very active and engaged with our consortium. So we appreciate his service and are sorry that, that we didn't have a chance to thank him in person when we would have met over the summer. So again, Marlon, our thanks to you. Now I just want to quickly introduce our executive committee. We've added a couple of members, and the executive team is really pleased about that. So joining us as chair-elect is Lynn Casella. And Lynn, if you maybe want to turn on your camera and wave to everyone. Lynn is with Florida Public Utilities. She is our chair-elect, brings to us a wealth of experience, particularly in marketing, communication. So we have already benefited by working with Lynn over the summer. So Lynn, if you want to wave to everybody, say hello. As I said, Marlon will be our past chair. We also have for our second year, Bill Allison. Bill comes to us from Northwest Florida State College. Bill is our career awareness chair. And Bill, perhaps if you have a chance to turn on your camera, you can say hello to everyone.
Hello, everybody.
Dr. Amy Albee Levine is for our second year, our education chair. And Amy comes to us, there's Amy, from Lake Sumter State College, where she is the Dean of Workforce Programs. And it looks like Amy is in her regular office. I believe students are back on campus, so she's in the office today.
Yes.
And then, good morning. And then we also, and thank you, Marlon. We also have added a member at large. Trinice McGriff is with the City of Lakeland. Trinice has been a very active member in FEWC for a number of years. She also brings experience from one of our larger municipal utilities, that being the City of Lakeland. And so Trinice is our member at large. So that is your executive committee.
Morning.
Good morning, Trinice. And now I'm going to ask for Lindsay to quickly go down. We're not going to do introductions for everyone, but Lindsay's going to announce as best she can those that are on the phone with us today.
Good morning. I am going to attempt to remember what company you all are from, but I'm going to unmute you as I go down because I'm not sure who everyone is exactly. I believe I have some on the phone. So first one I believe is on the phone and you're showing up as 47964. Can you tell me who you are, please?
At Orange Technical College.
Hi, I'm sorry. Do it again. Tell me.
There you go.
There we go.
Can you hear me? Yeah, hi, Rob Moody, Orange Technical College, lead apprenticeship coordinator.
Thank you. Okay, and 7434.
Scott Burris, I'm assistant principal at Orange Technical College West Side. I work with Rob Moody.
Okay, thank you. And Adam?
I didn't hear what happened, but you know, it happens.
Hi, Adam, what company are you from?
Big Gas Week.
One of our multitaskers. Is this Amy Albee Levine? Okay. Bob Hirsch, what company are you with, Bob?
I am with TIC.
Okay, thank you. We have Colleen Kettles from the Florida Solar Energy Center. We have David Mueller from Florida Department of Education. We have James Ald from Florida Power and Light, NextEra. Jason.
Hey, you shared with me your self-assessment. I don't know what.
Oops. Sorry about that.
Please mute your phones if you are not speaking. Thank you.
We have Isabel Nieto from Duke Energy. Jason Boys What company are you with, Jason?
Director of Workforce Education at St. Petersburg College. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We have Kyle Vickery from Manatee Schools. I'm so sorry, I'm probably going to mispronounce your name. Mamdou? Can you tell me what company you're from?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Tell me again. I'm sorry, we clicked at the same time.
Florida State College, Jacksonville.
Thank you. Okay, we have Mike Ramsey. Mike, you are also from St. Petersburg College?
That is correct. Good morning.
Good morning. We have David Puzo from TICO.
Yes, good to be here.
Hi. We have Randy Ramos from St. Petersburg College.
No, that's a good try. A little bit further north, Pensacola, Florida.
That's right. Thank you. Okay, we have Robin Faircloth, and Robin, you are with Career Source. Which office are you at?
Career Source, Northeast Florida. My office is in Jacksonville.
Okay. And we have Rod Yeager from DC Yeager. Is that correct? Did I say the name right, Rod?
Yes, DC Jericho Corporation.
Thank you. And we have Rosa Schmidt from CEWD. And Steve. Which Steve are you and what company are you from? I think we lost him for a minute. Trinice, we have Valerie Clark from Fort Myers Technical College. And Vishnu, what company are you with?
I have at Orange Technical College in Winter Garden.
Okay, thank you. I think I have gotten everybody, but if I missed you, will you speak up? Fabulous.
Hi, this is Maureen Kapp from Palm Beach State College.
Maureen.
Hello.
Hello. Okay, Maureen Wilt. I think it is back to you.
Thank you. I also failed to introduce Lindsay, and I apologize for that. Lindsay Silvas is our executive director. Lindsay keeps us on track moving forward. And so we appreciate all of her time and energy that she devotes to not just our organization, she's also supporting a similar organization in Georgia and also supporting work that are being done by veterans in energy. So Lindsay's wearing a lot of hats, but we all benefit by having her work with a number of organizations all tied to the energy sector. So we appreciate her service. This is our agenda today. So we've done our welcome and introductions. I'm going to go right. I think we are right on time or just a little behind to Bill Allison and Dr. Amy Albee-Levine to talk about how we're going to celebrate careers in energy this year. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that. So I'm going to just give a real quick update on the where we stand with the governor's proclamation, and then I'm going to hand this over to Amy. But so we have submitted the request for the governor's proclamation so that we can have the Careers in Energy Week. This is something we do every year. You know, there is some uncertainties on when we're potentially going to get this approved. You know, we have a pretty favorable year that this is going to get approved, especially with Governor DeSantis's focus on CTE and workforce. Last year, this was approved actually the week of Careers in Energy Week. And so we can expect that, you know, potentially there's a potential that the approval could run all the way up towards the week of Careers in Energy Week. We hope to get it back before that. However, you know, it's definitely very busy in Tallahassee, but we hope this works through the process rather quickly this year. And then I think I'll hand it over to Amy from here.
Hello, everyone. So what we've got planned is we're going to bring together individuals. We've got students, specifically from Lake Sumter, and we've got individuals from different companies around the state who we're going to do interviews with, brief interviews. We're going to try to make it quick so we can keep the attention of our audience. And we're going to come up, we're going to work together as a advisory board or executive board to come up with questions that we want to ask and propose to our panelists. And we'll go through each one and then also let the audience ask questions. And then we're also going to work hard to make sure we promote the event. We've got some work to do between now and October 20th, which is when the event will take place. It's going to take place from 7 to 8:30 in the evening. That way we can attract the individuals who want to attract, who might have to work during the day, or students who might have school during the day. So what we're going to work hard on in the next month or so is promoting this through social media. I know there's some things that we've been talking about as a committee on how we want to do that. So please stay tuned for further information. If you can see up here on the screen, some of the companies and the institutions, organizations that we invited to be a part of this. So I hope you're excited about it, and we will keep you posted.
Just going to add a couple of things. Again, this is Maureen. As many of you know, or most of you might know, we typically would hold 3 to 5, I guess I should say, events in person that would be hosted by either a school or a company and others. And so this year, having the year that we're all having one virtual event, we felt was the best way to celebrate careers in energy. So we know that many companies as well as schools may have their own plans to celebrate their own employees and the careers that we have in the energy sector. This particular event, we feel, can be promoted across the entire state. So as part of the plan that Amy's spoken about, we're going to make sure that the Department of Education, we're going to get this information to David Mueller, hopefully share it with teachers, not just teachers that are already in energy programs where students are likely to know about the industry, but teachers that are also, 7th and 8th grade teachers that are helping students with career exploration, folks that are perhaps out of work during this pandemic and are looking for something that is more secure. So one of the things that we've talked about in our committee meeting yesterday is our industry is one of the few industries, for the most part, at least that I'm aware of in Florida, that has not laid off employees. We are essential. We know how important it is, the work we do. And we think this year more than ever, that message needs to be shared far and wide with families, with students, with teachers. The work that we do is not going to be outsourced outside of our country. This work will be in rural America, it'll be in suburban America, and of course in inner cities. And that's really across the whole country. So I think more than ever, I think I said to the committee yesterday, we need to shout it from the rooftops. These are good paying jobs, family sustaining wages, and we are essential and have really not missed, although the economy has been devastated in many communities, primarily with hospitality and tourism, our industry continues to grow. And as I said, I don't know of companies in Florida that have had to lay off anyone that's in the energy sector. So that'll be part of the messaging, that we're going to relate to others this year. I think it's an important message to share with our community. And now we're going to turn it over to Rosa Schmidt. We are very fortunate that at our national organization, the Center for Energy Workforce Development, we have a consultant like Rosa. She spends part of her time in Florida, so we really love that about her. But she also is a long tenured employee from PSEG in New Jersey. She comes to us with a wealth of experience and really not only helps guide our work here in Florida, but she works with a number of state consortia. So, as many of us know in this industry, we're not really competitors. And so we also benefit from Rosa bringing us the best work that's being done in North Carolina, Louisiana, Alabama. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Rosa to tell us about what's happening at the national level with regard to careers in energy. Thank you, Rosa.
Terrific. Thank you, Maureen. Good morning, everyone. It's great to be here. Wish we could be in person, but this is better than nothing. So before I start talking about Energy Careers 2020, I want to just give you a quick overview of some of the things that we are doing at CEWD. So this year we have a new executive director who has taken over, Missy Henriksen, and we've shifted a little bit in terms of strategy, and we've been rethinking our website. Okay, I hear a lot of feedback. Hopefully everybody can hear me. If someone could, I know someone doesn't have their phone on, unmute, that would be great. Thank you. But we have really shifted. And so we've been working, and with COVID-19, we really had to shift pretty quickly. So we didn't have our regional meetings this year in the summer, and we had said, we're not going to do anything. And our members came back and said, we really want to do something because they're so valuable. We learn so much from the different companies and from what you're working and the work that you're doing. Can we have something? So we decided to do a whole summer series of podcasts. So we have them on our website, podcasts, and we've done webcasts. So the webcasts are all recorded, and then we did some podcasts. So we have our own podcast channel, and we've done some of those podcasts as well. We've also been developing promotional materials. So we have 2 new videos. One is geared towards veterans and another one for students. And so those are available. They're out there. They're ready to go, and members can use those videos. And our intent is to do many more. But right now, that's all we have right now. And we have a new group site. One of the other things that we've done is develop this mechanism where it's a group site, our members can join, and then they can talk to each other. So our communities of practice, we have 6 of them, all from training and development to diversity, equity, and inclusion, to energy industry fundamentals, to high school energy academy one. We have one for contractors. We have one for veterans. So veteran recruiting, hiring, and retention. So in those groups, you can communicate back and forth. And so what we get is a lot of companies asking questions. And Maureen said, we don't compete with each other, but we do share everything. And so it's, what are you doing around succession planning, especially during COVID? What's happening? And people will respond and say, this is the tactic we're taking. Do you have a policy around this? Can you share it with us? And so we see a lot of that happening, which is amazing. We're also doing a lot of work on diversity, equity, and inclusion after everything that's happened. And we have a template around that, which talks about how do you recruit, hire, and then retain. And it's all about diverse folks, diversity in the workplace. However, one of the things we were missing was equity. And so we're going back now to that template, and I'm working with 3 other companies, 3 folks that are joining and have been working over the past several months in really going and digging deep into this template and revamping it and adding it more resources. So our hope is we're almost down to the wire, to the end, last review in a couple of weeks, and our hope is to have it done in November. But it's we're embedding the equity piece in there, and really with all the changes and everything that has happened. We're also working with our associations, American Gas Association, the Rural Cooperatives, Nuclear Energy Institute, and pulling those organizations together with us, EI and CEWD, to come up with a white paper on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And they're working on that as well. So lots to come, but we're working on 2 major initiatives that I really want to share this morning. One is Energy Careers 2020. So we started talking about this in the summer and saying, should we do something for Careers and Energy Week? And most of our consortia were struggling saying, what do we do virtually? We're having, we're going to have to reinvent ourselves. How are we going to do this? We used to do everything and go to classrooms and talk to the students. How do we do this now virtually? And everybody is trying to figure out, and CWD is all about how do we make this easier for our members? And so we thought, well, what if at the national level, we create a virtual platform that our member companies can come together, our consortia can tag on, our companies can tag on and do some event during Careers in Energy Week. And it would be something that could be recorded, that they can save and they can show later. So we started on this mission to do this virtual career event. And so we have it scheduled for October 21st. And we're really, really, really excited about it right now. So can you go to the next slide, Lindsay? Thank you. So we're going to start off. The event is going to run on October 21st between 1:45 and 6 p.m. so that we accommodate the West Coast folks as well. We have Secretary Dan Brule coming and Briole talking to us. He's going to spend a few minutes talking about the energy industry. We have Mike Rowe, and for those of you, Dirty Jobs, he is amazing. He's great, and he has agreed to come and speak. So he is going to be our keynote, and will be speaking and answering questions also on the day of. And we're really excited to have him. And then we have Pat Carroll, president of Public Service Company of New York. And then we have this Exelon Utilities. He's the VP, and he does a lot of workforce development work. Robert Matthews, really exciting story about his life and how he has really changed his life. And so really interesting story. And so that's going to be the kickoff at the beginning for the first hour or so. And then, or from 1 to 1:45. At 2 o'clock, we're going to start with breakout sessions. And so our thought had been, we have, people want to see people like them. They want to hear from people that look like them, talk like them, look like, and so we said, why don't we create these panels? So we have these panels, Women in Energy, students. So these are students that are either in high school, they graduated, they did internships, and then now are just hired recently into the work. We have female line workers coming in, a female line worker that was hired from a line worker boot camp. So variety of students. We have veterans in the energy, diversity. And so in the diversity, we have a Black, 2 African Americans, a Latino, and an Asian American. And then we have LGBTQ plus community. We have a session on that. We have one for career changers. So folks that have changed careers and come into the energy industry. And then the unions, they will also do a session on what the unions are, how to get involved in the unions, et cetera. So and these panels will last for about an hour. And we're pre-recording and having folks actually ask questions during the session. So the intent is really for the folks observing, coming into the room, being able to ask those questions about working in the industry and hearing from that audience. We also have chat rooms because we figured an hour is not enough, depending on the number of people that we have in attendance. So these chat rooms will operate from 2 to 6. They'll be available, they'll be manned, and there'll be people in the chat room. So there'll be a veteran chat room, a career changer chat room, a student chat room, where there will be folks talking from that perspective and answering questions. And so we do have availability if people want to sign up. We're looking for people to kind of sign up for an hour to be in that chat room and chat with the students. Next. And then we have exhibitors. So the way that this is set up right now, we have also an exhibit hall. So during that period of time from 1 to 6, go back if you can, sorry, Lindsay, the exhibitors, and we've got about 25 to 30 booths already. And when they come in, they'll go into a booth and they'll be able to see and talk to these companies. So we have some consortia, we have some companies that will be in a booth. We also have career fairs. So there's a couple of companies out here that are actually going to hire or do interviews during this period of time. And so they have the capability to actually interview one-on-one and not have to, and do a offline, quiet, just a one-on-one chat, and be able to, and that the registrants are able to upload their resumes. So the companies will see the resumes ahead of time and be able to be prepared for that discussion. Okay, next. So this is kind of what it would look like when they first come in. We have the sponsors. We have a tablet that says it's almost like going into, you'll see people and you'll be an avatar coming into the room, and you'll be able to walk in. Go to the next one. I just wanted to show folks what it would look like. So during the panel discussions, this is probably what it's going to look like. You'll walk into the room, and then as the session starts, it'll get closer and you'll be able to see the slides. You'll be able to see the participants live as well. So even though we're pre-recording the session for technical issues, we want to make sure that we're clear on this. We want to make sure we have the folks will be live and we'll be able to see them live, so that the folks in the room will be able to chat with someone. Next. And then here's, this is the, and I'm going to have to put my glasses on to see what it is, but that's the exhibit hall, the career fairs. So this will be a screen that'll show all of the exhibit hall listed, and they'll be able to pick which ones they want to go into. Next. And then the chat rooms. So the chat rooms look like this. And they'll have the screen up there, so they'll be able to see the person that's in the chat room and be able to ask the question and chat. Next. And then the resource center. So our intent is to have a resource center with videos, with school resources, lots of things, job board, but a lot of different resources that people can actually go in, they can download, they can print, they can look at, etc. So, and this will be a CWD resource. Each of the exhibit hall folks in their booths will have the same kind of features where they would be able to also post their resources. Next. We have a help desk. So if they go to the help desk and they have an issue logging on or whatever, we've got somebody who can help them. Next. And then these are some of the booth options. So our members, whoever is getting a booth, has options. So this is one look that they can get. The next one, I'm just going to go through these pretty quickly. This is the second booth option, which gives them, this is the third booth option, and the fourth booth option. So folks will have that option, the availability of these different options. We have a promotion schedule, and I know you can't read this, and I don't expect you to, but just want to bring up one of the things that we found very interesting. We haven't started any promotion at all with our, we had not started it over a week ago. We said, okay, we're not going to start the promotion right now. We'll just post it on our website. At the end of that week, we already had over 100 registered. And of the 100, 78 were veterans. We have been partnering with ABE, with Society of Women Engineers, with Urban League, with many community-based organizations. We've been partnering with a lot of veteran organizations and asking them to send this out to their constituents, and even partnering with the transition officers on the base and getting this out with the apprenticeship placement coordinators on base. And what we're seeing is that the word is getting out. So as of, I think, the beginning of this week, we started promotion last Thursday, I believe, or Friday. And as of Tuesday, I think we already had 300 people signed up. So our hope is to have 1,000. So we're starting to really gear up our advertising, Facebook, LinkedIn, and getting those social media out. Next. So I'm going to stop here and just say our hope is that the consortia, whoever is taking this, we're asking all of you if you could get the message out, because I think this is of value to every industry member, every company, because you want to create awareness of energy jobs. This is a great opportunity for them to learn about the energy jobs. If they come on our website, you're a member, they'll find your company, they'll know about your company, but they'll hear about these energy jobs. Your educators in the room, send it out to folks that in your school that are taking energy courses, or even those that might be interested, just post it. We have flyers on our website that you can post for students and then for everybody else. So we have 2 separate flyers. I encourage you to post them out there. And I don't see any questions, so I'm going to move to our annual summit. And our annual summit, because this year we can't do anything face-to-face, we're doing it virtual. And it's going to be, next slide, it's going to be the 17th of November through the 19th. And we're going to have concurrent sessions. So these concurrent sessions, over a dozen of them, each of these topics will have 4 to 5 different sessions spread out over the 3 days. So the first one is around managing workforce development. But how do you make it a workforce priority? How do you make it a corporate priority in your company? Diversity, equity, and inclusion, quite a few concurrent sessions on that, 4 or 5 different ones on diversity, equity, inclusion. Training and skill development, and that is going to focus on future skills, future jobs, but then also training current incumbent employees during COVID. And how do you do that in a virtual environment? And we've got companies that are doing an amazing job of that, and we're going to show that and demonstrate that. Workforce development outside the HR suite. Again, we're going to talk about recruiting from diverse populations. Quite a few and we have some panelists, and most of these are going to be panelists of 2 to 3 folks talking about what they're doing. And then the last one is around the culture, workplace culture. We know that COVID-19 has really impacted how people work, and many folks are at home, working at home, trying to manage children going to school virtually and then doing their job, but they're not seeing each other. They're not working together. And so how do you create employee engagement? How do you continue to keep your employees engaged? And so, and managing it during COVID, the culture. So those are several of the topics, and folks can pick which topics they want to participate and do the entire concurrent session, or they can jump around. Next. And then we have general sessions. These general sessions will be in between. So we're going to try to stagger so that you have a general session, then a panel, then a general session. And we also have exercises in between and activities so that folks can take breaks, etc. But these are our general, go back if you can, the general session. So we're going to focus on workforce development. Complete workforce development focus is the first one. The second one is around generations in the workplace. We've got lots of generations in the workplace. And we have Jason Dorsey, who is a speaker who's going to talk about the different generations in the workplace, and he's excellent. So he's going to be our keynote there. The future of work, we have McKinsey going to be talking about from the board, C-suite expectations to strategy execution. So, we're going to have McKinsey. The next one is all about the virtual everything, and everything has to be done virtually now. So and Accenture is doing actually some work for us around the energy industry, because they didn't have any work around energy industry, and they're doing some work for us that they're going to present the results at this session. And then, of course, the roadmap for change, diversity, equity, inclusion, and the signature program. And so we're going to be presenting that. And then the last two, one is about CWD, but the other one is Exelon, and how they have shaped the economic empowerment through employment and what they're doing, some great work that they're doing around economic employment and working with their Department of Economics and their economic development group, and really linking and giving people jobs to make them socially able to survive. Next. So we also have lunchtime learning labs. So we thought that this might be a good break for people just to chat around the table, around what people are doing in telework. What are they doing around DE&I work front? How about recruiting veterans, a session on veterans? And then educators. We're having a whole dialogue on educating through COVID. And so our hope here is that it's an hour and 15, an hour and 20 minutes where people can just chat and share what they're doing. It's going to be a facilitated discussion, obviously, so that folks aren't just talking over each other. But our hope is to have a lot of sharing happening there. And then we have a networking lounge where people can go in, have coffee, maybe sit and talk to folks. And then we do have the national forum. That is, we used to tag that on at the end of our session every year for half a day. We're doing from 2:15 to 4 p.m. on the 19th is going to be the state consortia session. That agenda is still in the works of being developed, but our hope is, again, that consortia would share what they're doing across the U.S. Next. I think that's, and then we have the last thing we decided to do this year is also provide some awards, impact awards. And so this is the first time we're doing it, but we have 4 awards. One is focused on consortia, Energy Workforce Game Changer Award, a consortia that has really done some great work. Community Partner Award. It's a company award for a company that might have partnered with a community organization, community-based organization, and has achieved some success in that area. We have a Workforce Champion Award, and that is for an individual person who might be a champion of workforce and done a lot of efforts around really engaging and building the talent pipeline. And then the last award is one that's really a company award and really encompasses very broadly workforce development and in the leadership role. So everything from career awareness to diversity, equity, and inclusion, to training and development, but looking at the broad picture around workforce development and saying, okay, what company has done a good job all around? Next. And that's it. So I just wanted to give everybody kind of an overview of that. The cost for the summit, we are charging a slight cost because of the platform, just to cover the cost of the platform, or some of it anyway. And it's $200, and it's a 3-day event. So great opportunity hopefully folks don't have to incur travel expense, et cetera. So it's $200 for members to attend. And we're looking forward to, we've already have quite a few folks register, about 75. And typically around this time, which is a month ahead of time, we're really low on registration. So I think doing it virtually gives a lot of folks an opportunity, a lot more folks to attend. So I would encourage you to share this with folks in your company because of the concurrent tracks. There might be somebody in training and development that might be interested. There might be a D&E&I person that might be interested in doing the D&E&I track. So looking at different folks in your company that now having it virtually will give them the opportunity to be able to attend since they don't have to travel. So any questions from anyone? If I don't see anything in the chat at this point, but all right.
Rose, I want to thank you. It's very evident that CEWD has been hard at work creating platforms. I know some of us, or probably many of us on the phone, have been involved in either virtual meetings as the pandemic started. And, from what I've seen of the screens, really, really impressed with the work that you folks have done throughout the summer. So I'm excited to participate. For those of us that are able to join them for some or all of the summit, I know it's one of my most enjoyable experiences to go to DC, to be in our nation's capital, but also to get to network with others in our industry. So I will echo what Rosa said. I encourage you to share this with folks in your company, and whether they can participate in some or all. It will probably be the least expensive thing we do with a $200 fee to participate. So Thank you, Rosa.
And even the educators, the educators, please, because we're going to have that educator dialogue. We'd love to have you.
Okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And now we're going to move our program to hear from two folks with St. Petersburg College as well as Lake Sumter. Part of our work here as a state organization is to work collectively with schools as well as industry. Certainly, it is not our intent or role to be bringing up a program. You know, we're not educators ourselves. And so our job really is to network folks and connect. And so there are two new programs that have started in the state of Florida with the schools listed. And I'm now going to turn it over to Michael Ramsey to give us an update on what's happening with St. Petersburg College and their line worker training program. Thank you.
Thank you, Maureen. Good morning, everyone. We're extremely excited about the progress that we're making in launching our public-facing line worker training program at the college. It has truly been a group and joint effort from many industry professionals from around the region in order to help us to get to where we are right now. We started this work about a year and a half ago through our line worker training consortium. There was a need that had been expressed by some of our local contractors and power utility companies for well-trained line workers. And we hoped to have found a program that will help to meet those needs. Next slide, please. So what we have done, through the work of that consortium that we pulled together, is come up with something that has been steered greatly by Duke Energy and Powertown Line Construction. Duke has been a part of that consortium from the beginning and has a diversity in energy initiative that they were generous enough to provide us with a $100,000 seed grant to help to get this program launched and off the ground. In addition to that funding, they've donated about $35,000 in equipment and materials in order to help to ensure that this program is launched successfully. Powertown Line Construction has been a phenomenal partner as well, committing their subject matter expertise to help to design and build this program, as well as agreeing to shift a portion of their operations onto one of our campuses in the southern part of Pinellas County, very near to a very diverse area in South St. Petersburg, in order to enhance the training opportunities that our students entering this program will be able to experience. And we're very grateful for their resources that they have committed towards making this a success. And the timing could not have been better because the Florida's Workforce Education Initiative, Get There Florida, one of the primary components is the Rapid Credentials program rolled out by Governor DeSantis and Mr. Corcoran and our Chancellor Mack for career technical and adult education in order to have programs be launched in response to COVID and in order to help us to achieve our goal of being #1 in workforce education in the nation by 2030 with short-term credential and training programs. So we were able to leverage some funding from their Rapid Credentials grant as a part of this Get There initiative in order to make sure that this program had the materials, tools, equipment, supplies, instructors necessary to actually implement. So this program is going to be a short-term training program as the Rapid Credentials grant requires, and 18 weeks or less in length. And that's very important to people who have been impacted by loss of job or furloughed or stuck underemployed due to that COVID-19 pandemic and are looking to get back, into a stable, essential career path that has some stability for themselves and their family, where the wages are at a level that where they can have a way to take care of their families and themselves, and participate in our local economy. Next slide, please. So the priorities of this program, as working with Duke Energy, was something that was extremely important to them, was to ensure this program was public facing, to serve a need within industry to where individuals who are becoming aware of the many opportunities in the energy workforce, that they had an entry point that did not require them to be employed initially before beginning that training. So we believe that as the word gets out about this public-facing program, that there will be a slew of potential candidates for the energy workforce that had not previously had the opportunity or the exposure to this essential career path. Industry aligned. We have gotten tremendous feedback from industry partners across the spectrum. I've already mentioned Greatly Duke and Powertown Line Construction, and we're very hopeful that the curriculum for this short-term training program closely mirrors the Duke Level 1 line worker training that is already in existence and has improved to be extremely successful. And again, I have to emphasize the rapid nature of this entry-level training program. We're targeting, about 3 to 4 months, 12 to 16 weeks for the length of this program, so that it is thorough enough to where they have the skills they need to hit the ground running when they begin. Work with Pinellas Technical College here in St. Petersburg to ensure that they have their Class A restricted CDL license to make them even more employable and useful to their employers when they hit the workforce. And but they're essentially ready to hit the ground running when they arrive with our power employers in the region. And again, targeting diverse populations for enrollment. We've heard it said already on this call a few times how important diversifying the energy workforce is, and I think Duke's commitment to that is unparalleled, as evidenced by their financial commitment to this program and ensuring that it is successful. And of course, employment opportunities. No training program is complete unless there are, viable opportunities for gainful employment at the end of it. We haven't done our job in workforce education if our students aren't able to find well-paying jobs at the end of their commitment and their time. We're not an institution that wants to set our students up for disappointment when they finish. So having employers seeing the value in the training that's provided, so that they're able to, quickly find jobs after completion of their training is extremely important to us. Next slide. So some key planning activities as far as where we're at right now. Like I said, we're in the process of finalizing the curriculum, closely aligned with Duke's Level 1 training, and with much input from our consortium members, and also Powertown training director Steve Magenheimer has been phenomenal in ensuring that their input has been received. Finalizing our training yard design permitting. We're finalizing those plans, making sure that we don't have any swift mud issues, and getting around some of those requirements. We're in the final stages of that. We have begun acquiring the equipment and tools needed, as I've already alluded to the great generosity of Duke Energy and their generous donation of equipment and supplies. We're finalizing those pieces now, and we're seeking additional industry partners, that wish to benefit from this program's development and participate on the front end of ensuring that their specific needs are met with the well-trained workforce that's produced from this program. And one of the main areas that we're hoping to get industry partners on board with is the employment. piece. There's a huge demand for line workers, and we want to make sure that any contractors and, of course, our local Tampa Bay area power companies all have access to this talent that's being produced here locally. And we're very hopeful that the quality of this program will be of a nature in that, many employers will begin to look to this program in Tampa Bay as the primary source for their entry-level line worker talent here in the region. We're working on developing a marketing campaign to help to get the word out to our community that this program is available. We're looking to partner with, of course, our local workforce development board to help with funding the tuition for individuals that are pursuing this training. And we're also hopeful that some employers, would consider sponsoring students to participate in this high-value training program. Our target launch date right now is February of 2021. Everything is tracking towards that date, and we're super excited about getting this program launched to benefit our community and our local energy workforce and employer community. And thank you so much for the opportunity to share our progress here today with you all. And I look forward to working with you all to make sure that this program is contributing positively to the efforts of this group. Does anyone have any questions?
Hi, Mike, it's Lindsay. I have a couple of questions that came in privately from the chat room. The first one is, can you talk for a minute about the biggest challenges with starting the program?
Oh, man. Probably the biggest challenge from the college's standpoint has been I guess, ramping up our internal understanding of the permitting requirements for building the training yard. It's not as simple as just, hey, the poles are showing up tomorrow. Go ahead and drop them in the ground and run your lines. We're dealing with, ensuring that all of those pieces are properly put together. The engineering drawings are properly sealed and signed off on by the engineers with the proper credentials, and ensuring that the plans themselves have not, don't have any issues that would cause concerns for the local municipalities. It's probably our biggest, one of the biggest hurdles that we had to get over. But I think we're getting close to getting over all those hurdles and getting this program going.
Okay, thank you. This question also is, Isabel, if you would maybe chime in a little bit on this. The question was in regards to the IBEW and if there were any challenges in getting them on board with this approach. And Mike, feel free, you can jump in if you have knowledge of that as well.
Yeah, I don't have any knowledge of any challenges from the IBEW. Maybe Isabel can speak more to their relationship as far as Duke Energy and the IBEW, as far as any contractual concerns that they may have had.
Good morning. Sorry about that. I was trying to figure out the mute button, but we actually worked in partnership with the IBEW and in advance of even beginning conversations about working with a local educational partner. So they have been, we have not had any trouble in getting their buy-in on a program like this.
Okay, great. Thank you. Let's go ahead and turn it over to Dr. Amy Albee-Levine from Lake Sumter State College.
Okay, thank you very much, Lindsay. Welcome, everyone. Again, I'm Amy Albee-Levine from Lake Sumter State College, and I serve as the Dean of Workforce Development here. Can you go to the next slide, please, Lindsay? And for those of you who don't know, I just wanted to give you kind of the background of the college. We are one of the members of the 28 member Florida College System. We're located in Central Florida, just north of Orlando. We serve Lake and Sumter counties. Our average enrollment is about 6,000 students, and that's for 18-19 and 19-20 year. We're on track to be similar to that for the 2021 year. And I also wanted to note that approximately 15% of our enrollment here at the college is in workforce programs. And that includes, of course, our energy programs. But when I say that, I'm talking about all of our workforce programs. Okay, next. I took a little bit of a different approach, talk with Lindsay about focusing on COVID, the impact that that's had on our programs. Our programs, some of them are relatively new, and some we've had for a while that we offer in energy. So you've got a list here of what we offer in the energy world. We have an associate in science program in engineering technology. We have an associate in applied science program in electrical distribution technology, and that is basically our line worker program. And then we offer college credit certificates, and we offer one in the basic certificate for the line worker. That can be done in one semester. That is usually done in the fall semester. And then students who want to go on can take what's called the advanced certificate of line worker training. That's usually offered in the spring. And then anything that those students earn in those two certificate programs can be used towards the associate in applied science for electrical distribution technology. And then we also have a college credit certificate for the engineering program, the engineering technology support specialist. We also recently, and this is one of the new things we've been doing to meet demand, and I know that Mr. Ramsey mentioned the rapid credentialing and CARES a little bit. And I'll get into that a little bit as well, but that kind of relates to what we've done here with this 6-week boot camp. Over the summer, we partner with Career Source Central Florida to offer a 6-week boot camp for line worker training. And that was very successful. We had about 9 graduates in the program. So very proud of that. And we're working right now on helping them get to get positions with some of our local utility partners. Okay, next. So how has COVID impacted our programs, the engineering and the line worker program? When you think about both programs, they were both primarily offered face-to-face. It has been, specifically with the line worker program, as you all can imagine, there are things that you just cannot do remotely. You have to come to campus, you have to learn how to climb the poles, you have to learn how to excavate, you have to learn how to drive the trucks, the bucket truck, the digger truck. So we've had to be very thoughtful on how we change that and what we do here for the line worker program. So as you can imagine, a lot of those courses had to remain face-to-face, and we've been careful, we followed CDC guidelines in terms of the number of people. We've done more stuff outdoors. They're outdoors primarily anyway. We've also required masks on campus. We've also required social distancing while they're in class. We moved classrooms so they have more space in between each student. But a few of the courses that are offered in that program that don't focus on, trucks and excavation or climbing the poles, we've been able to move to a hybrid format. So some courses such as safety and basic electricity, those concepts, they can be taught online. And then we do have the students still come in for a classroom setting a couple of times a semester for a hybrid format to get updated instruction and to ask questions and to be with the instructor. So we've been lucky in that our instructors over there have been flexible. They've understand the need to make changes. And we have moved to somewhat of a hybrid model for quite a few of the courses in the line worker program. As far as engineering, our engineering technology relay, what's sometimes referred to as a relay technology program, we've also moved very much almost everything, as much as we possibly can, to a hybrid model. And we do require, that was a little easier to do, but there is some equipment. There are some programs that students need to work with where they need to come to campus because the equipment is only available here on campus. So we've come up with what we call an emporium model, and they do the work, remotely. They take their courses remotely with the instructors, but they come to campus to do their labs. And they sign up With the instructor, we make sure that we only have a certain number of students here at a time. The instructor will also be here, of course, and so we can follow safety protocols and as far as cleanliness, et cetera, for COVID. So we plan to do more of that as well, specifically with the engineering program. We're keeping this model, and we were looking into making it even more flexible by moving all the lab stuff perhaps to a specific time period within the semester. So anybody, anywhere can participate in the program. And then maybe their employer happened to be, let's say, North Carolina, and maybe their employer could send them here for 2 weeks or so to complete the lab training that they need to do. And they get all that done in one period of time, but they don't have to keep coming back. So there's some different things we're trying to look into to accommodate that. But we have moved very closely to making most of our instruction remote as much as we possibly can. We've also seen an increase in demand for short-term programs. 12 weeks or less, that's the rapid credentialing that we talked about, as mentioned from Governor DeSantis. What we did over the summer with Career Source is one of those things that we wanted to focus on, and we offered the line worker boot camp option because it was 6 weeks. We basically, within that boot camp, we took everything that's offered in the line worker based certificate program, at least half of it, and put it in that 6-week boot camp. So that students would get at least half of what they typically get in basic cert and get the basics down within that boot camp. Now, the next thing I talk about here is continuing education, articulation, and alignment. What we did with that boot camp, that is non-credit. So students are not getting college credit, but we aligned the concepts and the instruction to what we offer in our basic cert. So we put together an articulation agreement between ourselves and continuing ed, and we wanted to make sure we meet SACS guidelines. For those of you from the college system, you know exactly what that is. So students who wanted to, if they completed the boot camp and wanted to go on and finish the entire basic cert, they could. And we will put them in the program, and they will get credit for a portion of the program because they've already fulfilled that requirement by going through the boot camp. They've already covered some of those concepts in the boot camp. So that's something that we just started this semester. We had 2 students interested that finished the boot camp that are interested in finishing up the entire basic cert, and they will actually start taking those courses they need in October. So we are very excited to see how that goes. I mentioned here the impact of software. We've had to look into software. That's very important. You know, if you're taking exams remotely, how do we ensure the integrity of the exam? We've utilized things such as HonorLock here at the college and other software programs that we may need specific to a program. For instance, let's talk about engineering technology for a second. We may need AutoCAD for that program. So how do we make sure students get access to that? If we typically have it downloaded on our computers here in the college, and that's where students work, if we want them to be able to access and take that class remotely, then how do we make sure we get that on their laptops? And we've distributed college laptops to those students who have the AutoCAD and other programming on it that they're going to need for that particular program. I also just wanted to mention here that our enrollment for our programs in engineering technology and a line worker program remain pretty steady. We have seen actually with the line worker program, we've seen an increased demand for the basic cert. We have a waiting list for that program. So we went down a little bit on the number of students we could allow because of safety protocols. We didn't want that many people, specific number of people in a room, and we only have so many instructors. So we have a waiting list for that program. That's another reason why we focused on short-term opportunities such as the boot camp that can get students skills, hopefully get them hired, and then when some of the restrictions ease, they can come back and complete the college credit side for the line worker program. Next, please. So I've kind of talked about some of these things that we have done here. Rapid credentialing funding. I know that St. Pete mentioned what they did with this. What we have done with this program directly impacts our line worker program. We are going to start a CDL program, and every student in the line worker program, it's basically the industry really wants students to have that CDL when they come out. So it's not embedded in the program itself, but we're going to work with those students in the line worker program to be able to take the CDL as well. So that will be housed in the same location that we have our line worker program to make it easy for those students should they choose to use our CDL program to get their training. So that's one of our newest things that we've done there. That's what we're doing with production funding. We're also getting a new truck for the line worker program. As many of you are familiar with that, that's important. And that's definitely needed for students to get their training and to have the skills they need to be able to join the workforce and get to work. I mentioned the new programming, the boot camp is one of the things that we've done. I'll mention this, another program that we're hoping to get off the ground next fall, which is semi-related, and it will be embedded in the engineering technology program. It's mechatronics. It won't necessarily have a relay or substation focus. It will be another concentration, if you will, that students can look into or decide they want to do in the engineering program. So they could come in and they could either go the mechatronics route, they could go the relay route. If they were really ambitious, they could do both if they wanted to. But the student in either the mechatronics route or concentration or the relay concentration, all those credits can be used towards the engineering degree. So both those certificates, mechatronics and relay, are embedded in the engineering degree. We've also worked closely with our industry partners in terms of their feedback and what they're seeing. Duke, of course, thank you very much for all that you've done for the programs here at Lake Sumter. We also work closely with SECO in Sumter County and Southeast Power Company and the city of Leesburg and their utilities. They actually donated a truck to us over the summer for the line worker program. So we listen to them. We listen to how that's impacted what's happening with them, and what their needs are, and how they're changing. So we've embedded those into what we do. And I've mentioned the articulation agreements and what we did with the boot camp and moving into the basic cert. We'd like to be able to do more of that as we look at what's happening out there and other things that we can do for students' experience or for non-credit training that they get. It can be used towards our credit programs. Next. Okay, this is my contact information. Should you have any questions? I don't know if there are any questions in the chat, Lindsay, but please feel free to shoot me an email or give me a call if you have any questions about the programs here at Lake Sumter State College.
Is there anyone with questions for Amy?
Amy, can you talk to your advanced line workers course, what it consists of?
Sure. It is, so our basic cert is 24 credits. And we usually try to get students to take that in the fall semester. So that is our basic training. They focus on things such as excavation, trucks excavation. We have a course called ropes and rigging. They do their basic safety courses, etc. Usually after that, they're prepared to go into the field and work. And we find most of our students do choose, because they're going to get a job and they're going to get a good one, they do choose to go on and get employed. But we have the advanced option, and this was at the request of some of our partners, that they wanted to have their employees get some specific skills. So the advanced cert is 21 credits. We usually offer it in the spring. We offer courses on, it's called pole line equipment 2. We focus on electrical distribution substations, a course called rubber gloving, street area lighting, and we also focus on metering and energy management and basic transformer. So that was put together jointly with some of our partners who said we'd like for our employees to have advanced skills. And then we worked, I don't know if it was just Lake Sumter that worked with the state or if it was before my time, but multiple institutions in the Florida college system that worked with the state to create the advanced cert within the line worker program, because it was a demand of the industry. So it's 21 credit hours, and it kind of goes into more depth and detail on what they cover in the basic. But the courses are street area lighting, metering and energy management, basic transformer, pole line equipment 2, electrical substations, and what they call rubber gloving.
Thank you.
I know that Amy spoke about this a little bit in her presentation, but maybe we can hear from some of the other state colleges. I know Maureen Kapp is on the phone from Palm Beach State College, and Bill Allison from Northwest Florida State College, although he may have had to jump off. Can you speak a little bit about what you're seeing as far as enrollment and any increase in inquiries coming from students looking for a more stable career? I know Amy mentioned that the enrollment is pretty stable at Lake Sumter. How about some of the other state colleges around the state? Well, maybe we lost some of our.
This is Mamdouh Babi. I'm Dean of Technology at Florida State College, Jacksonville. And I'm the Dean of Information Technology, actually, not the engineering part. We have another Dean on the engineering part. However, I can speak to the information technology area where we've seen an increase, actually, more than 4% for both summer and current fall semester. And the reason for that, because actually our programs, information technology programs, initially when we have the online component inserted in our program, that helped us a great deal when we moved our courses from on campus to online in the start of the COVID. So really, we were already set up for such situation, which it did not affect us a great deal. In addition, our faculty were very creative to introduce labs, the hands-on components in their homes, and we allowed our faculty to take components or computers to their home and create their own labs and cameras and so on and so forth to do live sessions from their home. So it worked out for us very well, did not affect us greatly. Slightly, I can talk about the engineering, which I wish our engineering dean here to talk more about it. But in that area, some area were hurt, like the diesel area and the automotive area and so on. That's where really were hurt in a huge way, because some of the courses had to be stopped completely because the hands-on component was really involved. So that's on our end. I think that would help.
Thank you for that. Marlon, did you have a question?
Yeah, more of a comment. I know we talked about it in our executive meeting yesterday. I just look at the company I work for. I work for Disney Reedy Creek, and yeah, I guess all of you saw the news. We're laying off 28,000 people, and they're mostly in the hospitality and sales. One of the places that all these people are the hub is going to be the unemployment offices and career source. As state colleges, are you connecting with these entities to be able to recruit these people that are looking to retool their careers?
Hi, Marlon. This is Amy. I can speak to that. We actually have at Lake Sumter, Career Source has an office embedded on their Career Source Central Florida Lake County office is actually here on our Leesburg, Florida campus. So we work very closely with them. And as I mentioned, the boot camp that we held, the line worker program over the summer, was in direct partnership with Career Source Central Florida. They actually funded, I think, almost all the students that went through the program. They were funded by Career Source Central Florida to join the program. They went through their application process, and they went through our application process over there at the non-credit continuing ed side. So we partner with them very closely in terms of what is needed and how to get the word out about what we offer here and how we can connect with them. And we're working closely with them right now. I know it's not directly related to energy, but we're offering a cybersecurity certificate, and we'll be offering an Internet of Things certificate shortly. They're all short term, not as short as I think the governor would like to see, but they're a couple semesters long, and so we're working with them to make sure those are promoted to individuals that come through the door and let them know this is something they can do, and they can do it right here in their own backyard, and they can do it all online.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments? All right, I am gonna move on to my portion. I'm gonna turn my video on, even though you'll probably only see the side of my face because I have multiple screens here in my office, but I'm Lindsay Silvius. I'm the Executive Director of FEWC. So I'm just gonna walk through very quickly a few things going on here with FEWC, kind of internally, some housekeeping things going on. The first thing is Maureen already introduced our executive committee, but just to highlight a couple of things, for anyone that's not familiar with FEWC, our executive committee serves in 2 years. They serve 2-year segments or assignments. So Maureen assumed her role as chair this July the 1st. Our fiscal year runs from July 1st to June 30th. So she assumed the chair for this past July 1st. And Lynn Casella came into the chair-elect at that position. Next year, so on June 30th of 2021, Bill Allison from Northwest Florida State College and Dr. Amy, who was just speaking a few moments ago from Lake Sumter, they will roll off of the committee in the career awareness and education portions. So be thinking about that. You have not quite a year. We'll be looking to fill those positions coming next year. And I'll give you fair warning right now, you have some pretty big shoes to fill because they have been an amazing asset to this team. But hopefully they will stay involved with us as well. So we also have a member at large that we have asked Trinice McGriff from Lakeland Electric to join the team. And earlier this year, the executive committee voted to add an additional member at large seat, which will be filled hopefully very soon here. The idea being that we want to have equal representation from the electric side of things as well as the gas side of things. So the second member at large that we'll be adding will come from the gas side of the industry. And again, I just wanted to say thank you. I know Maureen mentioned this at the very beginning, but Marlon Vaughn, who is our outgoing chair, our immediate past chair is his exact title now. For those of you who have not met Marlon, you're missing out because he has been an amazing asset to this team. His enthusiasm and his insight is pretty contagious. So he better be sticking around. He's told me he will be, so he better be sticking around because he's been a great asset to our team. Financially, we're doing pretty well with our cash. Our cash on hand, we have $61,232.59. That is as of last night. Our fiscal year, as I mentioned, runs from July the 1st to June 30th. So for our last fiscal year, we had right around $25,000 in revenue. A little bit more than that. Most of that primarily comes from memberships and sponsorships. Our expenses were $24,000. Of course, that is about half of the year. In the pandemic where the executive committee wasn't traveling, we didn't have our summer meetings and things like that. So, but that's about average. We're able to keep those expenses pretty low. One thing I do want to notice, I have sent out our membership dues via QuickBooks, which is a change. In the past, I've sent them out just from my email to your email box. And so sending them out via QuickBooks is both a really good thing and a bad thing. The good thing is that you can pay with a couple of clicks of your mouse, because you can pay with your credit card. I was finding that a lot more people were wanting to pay with their corporate P cards or credit cards or something like that. So hopefully, my fear though is that that has ended up in your spam folder. So if you know that your company has been a member of FEWC and you have not seen a membership invoice come from me in the last 6 weeks or so, please let me know, because we're working hard to make sure that we get those in. I'm going to roll through these really quickly. These are our energy company members. Just want to highlight who we have here, our industry partners and our education partners and nonprofit members. So when we met last February, 1st of February, we talked about some of our 2020 goals and priorities. So I just want to give you a little update to let you know what we've been working on this year. Obviously, some of our priorities have changed a little bit in the last few months, but we still have a lot of opportunities and things we're working on. One of the amazing benefits of having Lynn Casella on the team with us, which is just a huge asset for me, is she comes with a really strong marketing background. So she and I have been having, our goal is to have weekly marketing calls on Friday. And so one of those things that we have worked on is we've worked on this new marketing flyer. So I'm going to try to circle it right here. So we have taken, some of you may remember, we used to have a trifold brochure that was designed by our friends at Okaloosa Gas a number of years ago, and it was overdue for being updated. And so what we did was we put this in a flyer form, because generally this is being emailed out to people. So it's easy to print, easy to open up on your computer, and is just an overview of who we are, what we do, and what the benefits of membership are. So you'll be seeing more of this, and it is available. I'll be putting it on the website, as well as sending it out to anybody that would like to see it, and to pass it along to colleagues or other companies who may be interested in membership. One of the other major goals that we had this year is to update our Get Into Energy Florida website. This has, we updated it 5 or 6 years ago, but it needed to be freshened up. So this is in process. There's a number of you who have loaned to me some of your millennial age employees from your companies, and I am so thankful for that. They have given me a lot of really fresh insight and input. So I am really excited for what this new website is going to look like. I am in the late stages of putting an outline together for our web designers. So once that goes over to them, it will be a matter of a couple of weeks by the time we get the first rough draft back, and we'll begin to make some tweaks and changes and things like that. So stay tuned to see more coming on that. My request now is, I appreciate all the input that I've had from the design, from the millennial age employees that you have, but I need some more seasoned people to help me as we get the draft put together. So I don't know if this is you. If it's not you, you might point me to somebody in your corporation that would be able to help, but I'll need people to help me proof the website. So I need to be looking for safety violations in any of the photos that we use. I need to make sure they're wearing proper PPE, and that everything is an accurate representation of the industry that way. I also, and many of you know, do not come from this industry, so I'm pulling together information about jobs and different aspects of the industry. So I want to make sure that everything that I have written is accurate and up to date in the industry. So, you know, if you're good at proofreading, that would be an excellent way that you could help me out. So there'll be more information coming to that as we come along. I'm going to skip over Careers in Energy Week right now, because I know we've covered that quite a bit. I do want to mention our social media, though. We have a Facebook an Instagram and a Twitter page. I also have a YouTube channel where I've posted some videos. Earlier this year in June, I did a campaign, so I can't remember exactly what day in June it is, 22nd or 23rd. I think it is International Women in Engineering Day. And so I took that and ran with it a little bit and contacted some of our partners, our members around the state. And we did, I did a week-long campaign highlighting a different female engineer from one of our member organizations each day. And this was a really, really fun, really cool campaign that we did. And I am going to be doing more of that. So the one that you see here in the middle of the screen, this is from one of our members. This is Lori Wilson from TICO. So we did that one day. I'm going to be doing something similar for Careers in Energy Week. It won't be just females. It won't be just engineers. I'm going to do a cross section of jobs across the industry and all different types of people with all different types of backgrounds. So if you have someone in your organization that you think would be ideal to highlight, someone with a fascinating story or can really connect with students or a particular demographic, please put me in contact with them. I can't promise you that I'm going to use them for Careers in Energy Week, but like I said, I'm going to be doing these throughout the year, and it really just helps me keep the content fresh and interesting on those pages. There are a couple of new committees that we're working to form from now until the end of the year. The first one I mentioned is marketing. Lynn Casella and I are working hard on that. As I said, we're attempting to meet by phone or Microsoft Teams or something like that weekly. I do not expect anyone to do that, to make that commitment to us. So if you're interested, if you have an interest or a background in marketing and you would like to help with that, coming up, we'll be looking at the website. Again, social media, and also the PowerPoint, the overview of the industry presentation, which was also one of the goals for this year. We wanted to make sure that we have something that is easily customizable, but is also pretty turnkey, so that if you or someone in your organization maybe is asked to go speak to a school with students, that you have something that you don't have to start from scratch, but you have something put together. Maybe you drop in your logos and a few other personal touches and you're good to go. We just want something that is easy. So that's something that I started working on a couple of months ago, but got pulled aside by some other projects. So I know that is one of the things we're going to be working on. We've already talked a little bit about diversity already this meeting, but it's huge in our world, in our corporate, corporate industry right now. But Maureen Cap is especially interested in this, and I'm sorry, not Maureen Cap, Maureen Wilt, our chair, is especially interested in this, and she is going to be putting together a diversity best practices committee. That will really kind of ramp up in November, but her goal is to really look to share ideas and to collect best practices and ways that our industry and our companies are already working to reach out in their communities to a diverse group of people and youth. By hearing from ways we're already doing it, it may spark some other people to either pick up those ideas or to get, it might spark some new ideas as well. So those are some things that are coming up and ways that you can get involved with us. The marketing committee is going to be pretty short term from now till the end of the year, maybe January, as soon as we get some of these new things developed. But if you're interested in either of those, please let me know, and I will get you plugged in that way. I'm going to leave this up real quickly. Upcoming dates. First is Careers in Energy Week, which is October 19th through the 23rd. The event specific to Florida will be on Tuesday, October 20th. And I apologize, on the slide earlier, I said it was going to be from 7 to 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. It's actually going to be 7 to 8:15. I'm putting together some marketing in the next couple of days for that, and we'll get that out to you as soon as possible for you to promote either on your corporate social medias or with some educators that you're working with. The Energy Careers 2020, as Rosa said, is Wednesday, October 21st from 1 to 6 p.m. Eastern Time. And the CEWD National Summit is November 17th through the 19th. I'm sorry that was a massive download of information quickly. I'd like to turn it over to Maureen Wilt from Florida Power and Light, and she is going to talk to you about how industry is changing in support of education programs during our COVID-19. Maureen?
Actually, I'm going to make an executive decision. We've been on the phone for about an hour and a half. We were going to take a break after this particular piece. But what I'd like to suggest is that we take our break now for 10 minutes, give us all a chance to get up, stretch, use the facilities, get another cup of coffee or water. So let's go ahead and break. You know, we're going to keep the everyone dialed in, of course, but let's go ahead and meet back here at 10:43. So we're going to give you a full 10 minutes. We'll then take us through the rest of the agenda. So we'll see you back at 10:43. Thank you. Okay, it is 10:43. We're going to go ahead and get started again. Hopefully everyone is back and had a chance to stretch, get some coffee or water, use the bathroom, etc. So Lindsay, I'm going to ask you to go back to the slide. Keep going to the one that was going to talk about this next section, please. Thank you. So I don't have slides for this next section, but I wanted to spend a little bit of time. I've asked a couple of folks to join me in just a short conversation. I think, you know, we would all agree that life has changed over the last 6 months. I've asked Isabel from Duke as well as Trinice from the city of Lakeland to join me in just a very short conversation about some of the ways that we're supporting education, whether that's K through 12, K through 20, K through 22, and how those changes have taken place as we realize that things were not going to be back to normal in the fall. And so I'm just going to share a couple of examples. My role at Florida Power and Light Company is to support primarily K through 12 education. And in that role, although I don't have an opportunity to send a lot of employees to schools, I do a number of things across the 30 school districts that I support where we would actually have something in a classroom. So one of those programs, I have an energy conservation show. It is with the National Theater for Children, and it's quite an interesting partnership. They're a theater company that provides content and it goes out to schools. So one of my challenges is always, how do I serve, you know, from the Georgia border of Nassau County down to Miami-Dade County, as well as on the West Coast from Manatee County all the way down to Collier. And so we hired this vendor that does a show and teaches young children K through 5 about conservation. And so I really struggled as the pandemic hit, you know, how could we possibly do this virtually? Because it's such important information that we're providing young people. In some cases, it's a way for them to engage their parents, you know, simple ways that FPL wants to convey to both students as well as their families on how you can take control of your energy usage at home. And so I was really pleased when I started to have conversations in April with my vendor, the National Theater, on how we could do this in the fall, you know, pretty much expecting that things weren't going to return to normal. And so really fortunate that as a large company, they were already starting to rethink what they do. And so pleased to say that in the fall, they will have a live stream for the schools that would have had an in-person show. They will have a live stream event for each of the schools. So in this particular program, a school signs up. Typically, they bring together a group of children in an auditorium, a cafetorium. And so now they'll have a live stream, and they've enhanced the material that the teacher will access to be able to share with students that are both learning in the classroom as well as at home. So that's one way that my company can continue to serve this particular market in a virtual world. And then another way that's really changed some things for me, I typically, again, because of the size of my area, I don't always have an opportunity to send a lot of employees into classrooms, or if I do, it's primarily in my home office. So I guess I'm going to say on a positive note, having so many of our employees that are not running power plants or line people, but folks that are working from home, I've really had a lot of interest from employees that they're able to engage. And so we started this in the spring. I've got a program with the Urban League where they've got a group of students in a couple of schools that we're going to be able to do a lot of in-person field trips as well as have people come into the classroom. And very quickly, we were able to pivot, and I was able to get more employees to do virtual visits because they, again, were working from home and they didn't have to drive and get into a school and go through security. So in some ways, I think we've taken some positive things from this pandemic, and I'm going to be able to go forward with some of that by doing more virtual things with my employees. So I think we all know that we want to connect with students due to security with particularly Florida classrooms. The amount of time it might take to drive across a very populated county like a Pinellas or a Miami-Dade. Sometimes it's hard to get an employee to devote 2 or 3 or 4 hours to do those visits. So again, my employees have stepped up to do things virtually. I think they want to continue to do that to influence the next generation. And hopefully other companies are seeing that too. So I'd like to now get Isabel to chime in a little bit. I know Duke has tremendous support for education and schools in their communities, and maybe Isabel can give us some examples.
Hi, Maureen. Thank you. Yes, so I'm in a very similar position. I also, my full-time focus is to build career awareness and build that long-term pipeline and working with K through 12 schools. So we had to pivot pretty quickly when the pandemic hit and COVID kind of shut everything that we do down in regard to site visits and getting out to schools. At first, I do recall that it was a little difficult, and it's understandably so. Schools, their primary concern was getting the kids situated in their virtual programs and getting the education taken care of. So it was something that we had to approach with caution, making sure that we were being respectful of the time that the teachers had. They had a lot on their hands. But with some of our schools that we had strong partnerships with, we were able to build a connection and continue our engagements virtually. One example I have is with Denellen High School. They have a Power and Generation Academy. So these are students that it is part of their curriculum to focus on energy. And we hosted a speaker series for them where we provided a guest speaker on a weekly basis for 4 weeks and had them discuss about different career paths. We're able to do a few demonstrations and spend time just speaking with the students in a small group environment. Those sessions were recorded, and the school plans on using those same recordings in the future. Another event that I have an example about was in partnership with Junior Achievement. They actually stepped up their game as well and went virtual over the summer and hosted an event alongside Think Big for Children and Think Big for Kids. And they hosted a round robin type event using the Zoom platform that allows you to break out into rooms. And they had multiple companies from different industries representing different careers. And each of us as presenters would rotate through the different rooms. And so the students were able to learn about multiple careers in I think it was 2.5 hour event. So they learned about multiple careers and the educational paths that lead to those, and ask questions in small groups. They each had, an adult with them as well from Junior Achievement that helped guide them through some PDF printables that they were using to take guided notes with. And it was a very engaging experience because we all as presenters had to come prepared with some kind of interactive either demonstration or game to really get the kids excited about being in that room with us and talking about that particular career. It was pretty quick paced and stayed high energy throughout that particular event. And one last example that I wanted to share is something special that our nuclear team has done. One of our nuclear power plants over in North Carolina, they regularly host student tours of the plant. And that, of course, was not something that could happen at this time. So they went virtual. And they actually offered a virtual summer camp and worked in partnership with local community organizations that host summer programs and to market the opportunity out to the student base. and opened it up for open registration, whereas the students could attend for the full week, or they could just attend, on a day-to-day basis, whichever of the events that were of interest to them. So then they had a 90-minute session every day for a week that it consisted of tours around our facilities, virtual tours around our facilities, experiments that they had been sent, a list of materials in advance so that they could get ready and actually work out that experiment with our employee. And then also at the same time talking about the careers that use these types of skills that they're building as they're working through those experiments. So we've had to get a little creative, but it has been something fun and exciting for us to kind of explore. And as Maureen was mentioning, what a great opportunity, of course, under terrible circumstances, and I'm unfortunate that we're in this position to be quarantined and separated from what our normal was. But it has kind of opened the door to being able to reach out to greater masses of students and really build that awareness in a broader sense. Maureen?
Thank you. I very interesting, and it's really clear that Duke was able to pivot very quickly, and again, as you said, serve even in some cases a greater population. So I thank you for sharing that with us. And now, Trinice, do you want to give us some examples of what's going on in Lakeland and how you folks have moved to the virtual world that we're in?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. This is Trinice McGriff, and I am the school to work specialist for the city of Lakeland. And basically, my job is right along the lines of what Maureen was just talking about, and Isabel. I am the program specialist. I push initiatives, activities, and partnerships with the city to increase college and career awareness and preparation. And basically, we do that through partnerships. The city of Lakeland is partnered with the Polk County School Board Academies. Those are 20 plus national accredited career academies here in Polk County. And we have 6 of those under our belt. We have 3 power academies, a pre-power academy, which is for our middle school. And then we have a water utilities academy and a public service emergency communications academy. We also partner with our local college access network and our countywide higher education workforce, which is about 11 different local colleges. So I think what we're hearing here is that virtual is the buzzword. Virtual is what we're doing. Virtual is the way to integrate and continue on with our community awareness of our careers. And the city of Lakeland is right there with everybody else in regards to that. As far as our employability, one of the things that I have done over my years working is I've gone out and done employability skills workshops with our academies and also with some community partners as well. And we are continuing that on a virtual scale. So just about 2 months ago, I was out, I did an employability skills workshop with a group called Youth Build Lakeland that services students from the ages of 16 to 24 who have dropped out of school or for some reason had to quit high school before attaining their college or their high school diploma. They're back in the program to get their GED or their high school diploma. And we were able to move that to a virtual type of event for them. So I'm on with them for about an hour and a half, and they get a chance to interact at small groups. They have to introduce themselves, and we go through employability skills, like what does an employer expect? We go through interview tips. What does a first day? What should a first day look like? How should you conduct yourself? And then we go through those interviewing tips and as well as resume critiquing and things like that. So that's one of the things we've done. Like I said, we've just gone to a really virtual type of event for that. But one of the things we've also seen here in Polk County, I'm sure it's other places as well, is that with our college students, job fairs was a really big thing. It's always been a really big thing for them to engage in, especially in order to get internships. And many companies in the area either were not hiring or were unsure about the direction of their entry-level jobs. And as a result, we've seen a decrease in participation in job fairs for many of our employers. But we still needed a way to interact with those students. So our CHU network, that's our countywide higher education workforce network, has created a webinar series. Actually, it'll be starting next week, where we're going to interact with those students, and they'll have webinars that they watch every day. One will be virtual interviewing. Enterprise Rent-A-Car is actually going to conduct that for them, that webinar. We have one about resumes and interview tips, how to get the most out of a virtual career fair, and the importance of networking and mentoring. So that's the first piece of that, in lieu of the job fair, still being able to give those students the opportunity to get that experience, to get out there and interact with our local workforce. And finally, I want to talk about internships. So as far as personally with the City of Lakeland, we have been in a hiring freeze since March. And because of that, we weren't able to do our internships over the summer that we usually do. And we are still in a hiring freeze. But we know that there are students who still need to get those internship hours. Some of them are required for college credit or in order to graduate. So we have implemented an unpaid internships opportunity for local college students, so that they can receive college credit for an internship, or where an internship is a requirement for graduation from their program. That's something that we really just started, but we wanted to make sure that our students in this time still have the opportunity to come out and get that experience that is so important for their industry.
Thank you, Trinice. I appreciate you sharing that with us, and again, letting us know how you folks are adapting and trying to move forward in the world that we are currently living in and appears to be for some time to come.
Maureen.
So I'm going to turn it back over to Rosa. Certainly, we've had lots of conversation about virtual events and things that have gone well, maybe things we wish we had known when we started this virtual world working from home. So Rosa's just going to talk to us a little bit about some of the things that CEWD has learned. I think we would all agree, for many of our companies, we're probably going to remain virtual for some time. I think our industry is maybe a little more conservative than some others, especially since we're in the middle of storm season, and many of our companies, have to keep our populations extra safe, so that if we have to respond to storms, we're going to be able to do that with a full contention, a full workforce. So Rosa's going to share some things that she'd like to offer with regard to virtual learning and events and whatnot. So Rosa, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Terrific. Okay, thank you. Hi, everyone again. So, wrong slide. There we go. Okay, thank you. So a little bit about best practice. We know, just as Maureen just said, things are changing. Most of our workers are essential workers. So there's a lot of them that life has changed a little bit because of social distancing, wearing masks, etc. But a large percentage of our workforce is in the office and can work virtually. And so what we're seeing right now is many of our companies, they're keeping folks home virtually. And looking right now, many companies, they're looking at projecting January as a potential return to work date. Some are even talking about this is going to go on. You know what? It's working. Why mess with it? Maybe we're going to consider doing this indefinitely and continuing the virtual. And so many companies are looking at that. But it is today's reality. You're working at home, work at home. So I've got some ideas and some thoughts of what companies are doing because business must continue. We still need to continue to work. And so at the beginning, I saw many companies slow up and say, well, we'll postpone this. We'll wait on this one. We'll wait on this. We'll wait on this. And now they're saying, no, this has gone a lot longer than what we thought. This is the new norm. Let's start to focus. So here are the 3 platforms that most companies are using: Teams, the WebEx, or the GoToMeeting. They all have the potential to see your faces so you can actually see people. Potential to show your screen, show material so people can actually see presentations, etc. A lot of them have the potential to even do feedback questionnaires. So you can ask questions and do surveys live, and it automatically adds up, and you can see what the results are right on the screen. So there's a lot of capability coming out of these systems that allow people to be live and be there, and so you don't need to get together. You don't need to drive to a location. Zoom was one that started really hot, as everybody knows, and because of Zoom bombing, many companies do not use Zoom and do not allow Zoom. And so these are the 3 that are mostly used. Next slide. So I'm just going to share some examples of what companies are doing. So the first one, virtual meetings, business must continue. So we're finding companies now interviewing. They're conducting interviews for new candidates. They're doing them virtually. And they're not even seeing the candidate live. They're doing it on a computer and they're interviewing them. They'll do group interviews, whatever they may need, make the job offer, and do everything without actually having the person come into the office. And it's working for them. They say it's working beautiful for them. One example of a consortium that gave out scholarships, they actually did the scholarships. They usually have this award ceremony. They love where they bring them in, they talk, and they actually give them the scholarships and do a big deal, whether it was a lunch or a breakfast. They decided this year they were going to continue to do the scholarships, but they wanted a personal touch. So they had these connections, these meetings with the students where they were able to see the student, and every company in the consortium provided one scholarship and was able to connect with one student locally that's in their community, talk to them, make that connection, and then be able to connect on an ongoing basis. So work is getting done that way. Summer internships. We had a lot of discussions at the beginning of the summer. People were saying, what do I do? We had all these summer internships. Some have decided, depending on the internship, to cancel them. One company even gave each intern $5,000 and said, we're sorry, we had promised you an internship. Due to COVID, we can't because of the job or the internship you were going to have. We're going to give you $5,000. But for the most part, a lot of them brought them in anyway and said, you know what, let's continue to do this. And so we have companies that did virtual internships. Dominion, DTE were 2 of the major ones that I remember doing them. And so they said, we still need to continue to do this. So they did team projects. So that was a way to get the students connected, to learn about the industry, to do a team project. And so they would learn about different parts of the business, and they do it as in a team environment. So now they're networking, connecting with each other, but at the same time, then connecting to the broader team. They did team building activities. So we have a Jeopardy game. They used our Jeopardy game to ask the kids about the industry. They used trivia. But things to get the networking going with the students and with the groups. Panel discussions. They had their executives, instead of meeting face-to-face, the executives came on a panel and they talked to the students and they were able to see all the students on the screen. Video presentation. So you know what? Learn about our company. Here's a video presentation. Go through this material. They did virtual tours. And instead of the students coming in and going on a tour, they did virtual tours. And we heard that from Isabel this morning. Virtual mentoring, connecting with someone that could mentor them, work with them, ask them questions, etc. So lots of very creative, unique ways of dealing. And the one company, I think both of them were doing it, they were actually sending feedback, a survey to the students at the end of the first week. What worked well? What can we do differently next week? The second week, they did the same thing so that they continuously improve the process. And most of the students were in for 6 weeks through 8 weeks. And some of them, they actually were able to then bring back on property. Part-time after they started school, they kept them, and now they brought them in so that they could continue to work. We also did an intern challenge at CEWD to help our members. So this way it gave the intern an opportunity to learn about the industry while at the same time, and it could have been a team, most of them were team efforts that were done, where a team of interns got together and worked on this challenge. And they had to develop a video or a social media, but it had to be some sort of a video that they pulled together about the industry and what they learned. And so that was something that was a valuable resource for our members to have the students do that as well. Virtual diversity conference, believe it or not, we have a company that does a diversity conference did it last year. They go to colleges, they bring, they go to colleges across the US and they have an application process, and then they bring 120 diverse students to Virginia. I think it was Virginia, Dominion did it, to Virginia, and they host them for 2 days. And they do a conference. And of those students, and maybe it's even more, but of those students, the majority of 90% of them become their interns for the following summer. This year, and they're all diverse. This year, because of COVID, they're going to do it virtually. Now, this is happening in October. And we have on our summit, one of our panels, our discussions is they're going to be talking about the virtual diversity conference, how it worked and what the impact was, what they did. So that'll be interesting to see. Virtual career fairs, either attending them or hosting them. So we're seeing companies host career fairs as well virtually due to COVID rather than holding them live. And those that are attending are telling us that they're able to attend so many more career fairs because they don't have to travel, and they're able to at least recruit. So one example is veterans. Veterans, if they're transitioning service members yet, they're still on base. So the only way to reach these transitioning service members is to go to base and talk to them. Well, what they're doing now is these virtual career fairs, they're able to connect with these transitioning service members across the US without having to travel, and their pool just got so much huger and bigger. Weekly messages from CEO. We have one CEO that every Sunday night at 7 p.m. does 10 minutes to all employees, and it's a family thing. So bring your family into it. He talks a little bit about the business, but it's more around the wellness and keeping your family safe. And it's a message from the CEO. Very powerful. They said that people actually sit down with the whole family just to watch this virtual message. One company sent packages home and this is, how do you keep your employees engaged in this virtual environment? Masks, hand sanitizer for the entire family, plus a lot of different goodies that they could use during this time of COVID. Podcasts, a lot of companies have started podcasts because rather than having, the employees are virtual, they're using WebEx, but these podcasts, if they're running, if they're doing housework, they can plug it in and they can listen. And so they have a lot of podcasts all around wellness. They bring experts in to talk and they ask questions. And we've got at least several companies. Evergy has been doing it. And they've been doing one every, they set up a channel and they do one every, I think 2 to 3 weeks. But Dominion has done it. There's quite a few companies that have started to do the podcasts. CEWD is now putting a virtual innovation challenge. It's going to kick off during Careers in Energy Week, and it's for high school students. Virginia had done it with the Chamber of Commerce, and they did it for all industries, not just the energy industry. It was the Chamber of Commerce that came up with the idea to do an innovation challenge where there were different industries would partner and give a problem to the high school, and the students in the high school would have to solve the problem and come up with a solution. And while they're doing it, they're doing research. The school, the companies provide mentors that could guide them and provide guidance, look at what they're going and the research that they're doing and provide some guidance. It worked so effectively. And then at the end of the session, which is several months, the students then make a presentation, like a Shark Tank type presentation about their solution. And the executives will then select the best solution. They did it the first year, and Energy, they had 2 or 3 schools participate. Last year they did it and they had 18 schools, and this year they were planning to do it, but they said, why doesn't CWD do it nationally? So we're doing a national innovation challenge. It will kick off in October during Careers in Energy Week, and the students will start in January and have until April, I believe. And our hope is that with the virtual environment, some teachers might be looking for things to do around energy, and this might be something that would help the teachers and help the students learn more about the energy industry and in a creative way. And last is fun activities. There's some companies that are doing some fun activities just to keep employees engaged, especially in groups. So they might do a trivia night, or they'll do a let's get together and do some yoga. Early in the morning, we'll do 15 minutes of yoga. People can chime in, they get to see each other, etc. But they're doing some creative things to keep the folks that typically work together connected, seeing each other, etc. But those are some things that I've seen that have been very creative and interesting. But let's hear from you. If any of you are doing something creative, what are your companies doing that maybe I didn't talk about that might be unique? If you are willing to share, maybe you can raise your hand, or Lindsay can see your hand come up, or just unmute yourself. Anybody willing to share?
Good morning, Rosa. This is Lynn, and I would share something that we've been doing through FPU as well as Chesapeake. And so we did, I don't know how many of you are familiar with the Great British Baking Show. And when I first saw it a couple of years ago, I absolutely fell in love with it. And so knowing that a lot of our customers are using gas ranges, right, propane or natural gas ranges, we thought, well, let's do our own little version of that show. And for those of you who might not know, they start out with 13 bakers, and every week they have to bake these items and they get voted off, right, if they don't do a good job, so that in the end of the 12 or 13 weeks, you have a winner. And so we did that. It was really cute. I had a lot of fun. I'll tell you, the time clock certainly changes the game. But it kind of brought people together. Again, we're over 14 states and 7 different companies. I would have never had the opportunity to get to know some of my other colleagues in different business units if it weren't for that. So that was a lot of fun.
That's great. Thank you, Lynn, for sharing. And some of these things don't have to cost money, and it's just fun, I think. So, okay.
This is Maureen with Florida Power and Light. So we did our internships virtually. this year. We were able to host all 240 of them. What I thought was pretty neat at the end, we always take our interns out and do a service project. And because they were working from home, that wasn't possible. So what they did is the interns had an opportunity, I believe it was one of two projects. One was to write letters to seniors. I think we all have been moved or personally impacted by having someone that's in an assisted living, or you've heard those stories. It's just been very isolating for them. So the interns either wrote letters to seniors that were sent into the corporate office to then be distributed to facilities in the state that employee was in. Or the other project is they were able to make bracelets. And I'm not going to get this, they're bracelets made out of cord that I believe they share with veterans, and I'm not exactly positive about that. A veteran may be familiar with that. And so a lot of our interns posted that they, so they were sent the supplies and then they posted a picture that they had made their bracelets. And so core to our corporate social responsibility and our mission is to do the right thing. And so we still found a way to get interns to do the right thing and be part of the fabric of our company by doing a virtual service project. And so, I think those are things that we can do with our employees. Again, if people can join a call, get on the screen and show what they've written or talk a little bit about, how meaningful it was to do something for a veteran, I think it's another way to keep us all connected.
Sure. Thank you, Maureen. Okay. I think that's all I have.
Okay. Well, we appreciate that, Lindsay. And now I'm going to set up this next for Lynn. Lynn's going to talk about it, but I'm going to set this up. As we move forward, our executive committee really wants to continue to evolve this organization. I think we've been around for about 16 years. For those of you that are not familiar, we in Florida got started around the same time that CEWD got started. And so, the organization has continued to transition and to meet the needs of our members. And so I have asked Lynn to moderate a discussion. I hope that you will participate. Raise your hand, unmute yourself. We really want to know what you need from your state organization. While we have expanded our executive committee, we don't know everything. We have schools and teachers, we have businesses, large and small, that are part of the energy community here in Florida. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Lynn to moderate a discussion about what comes next.
Awesome. Thank you, Madam Chair. So yes, everyone, I am indeed the newbie here to the executive team. And it's been my pleasure to work with Lindsay and Rosa and Marlon and Maureen and all the other board members. I've definitely learned a lot over this past year. We've covered a lot today, and I want to thank you all for your participation, both your time to be with us this morning and your money, right, to pay your membership dues each year. As Marina said, our membership base is varied, everything from utilities and energy companies, educators, those in the education system, career development, and other energy supporting companies. So I don't know, Lindsay, did you include in the next slide? Perfect, you're such a good woman. This helps us define our purpose, right? Our vision and mission statement. And we know that vision is looking to tomorrow, the future, right? What we ultimately want to be or become. And our mission is focusing on today and what we're doing currently to be able to achieve that vision. So as Maureen said, we want to take some time over the next 15 or 20 minutes to ask for your feedback with regard to your expectations as we fulfill our organization's vision together, right? What can we do for you to provide value for your membership investment? And so the next slide, what we've done is put some conversation starters here, right? As we're all members of different organizations, And as we're trying to fulfill this organization's vision, how do these things come into play? Should we focus more on one or another? And as Lindsay mentioned this morning, my background is agri-marketing, right? So I'm big on the idea that when we support an organization that we sort of are helping our business self, right? Because as business people and educators, we do things for a variety of reasons. And it might be totally, to support the community and whatever effort may be going on. And then some other investments and participation that we do are to help our businesses grow, get more customers, sell more items, whatever the case may be there. So I look at marketing opportunities as valuable to me, right? It's always a good thing for me to see our company name and logo out there. And yet I don't know how valuable that is, to all of you. According to our mission and vision statement, all of these could be part of what we're doing. I think maybe in the past, as Maureen said too, it's changed, right, a little bit over the year, the focus of the organization. And I think maybe in the past, we were maybe a little more driven by statistics, trends, and data. Of course, it's always important to know what's coming over the horizon, right? So we can plan for it and prepare for it. Is that important? Networking opportunities, as we all said, earlier in the call, all this virtual stuff. I'm an extrovert, and this is like just slowly killing me, right? Because I would much prefer to be out with people, networking, interacting, learning. And I'm the great matchmaker, right? I in a room full of people, I could match people up that seem to have a need and a solution for a need in common. And those are often opportunities. If you've ever been in leadership programs, you get the opportunity to meet someone face to face sometimes that you would never otherwise be able to do. So that, as we work on our marketing strategy, networking comes up along with the advertising side of it. And I'll pick another one out here. So best management practices, right? What Maureen shared with us earlier, when I found out about the traveling thespians, I thought that was such a cool way to interact, right? And all the things that Rose is telling us about from her organization. So sharing those best management practices is important as well. We can all learn from one another. I'll pull another one here, political representation, right? Some people say that money makes the world go round, and others say that it's all about politics, right? Nothing we do, all of our businesses, all of our personal lives are really controlled a lot by politics. And so while we have restrictions with our current situation, we're not lobbyists or anything, but is it important to you that we share the great message of FEWC with our elected officials, both state and locally? And I'll say too, as we're doing those introductions, before I was introduced to this organization, I had never heard of either one. And so is it awareness? Is part of what we need to focus on making others within our industries, within the energy industry or support groups or education, more aware of FEWC and outside the industries, right? Because we ultimately want to be able to attract and keep that next generation. So we have to go outside of our industries to be able to do that. So I'm going to stop talking, because the whole idea here is that you help us be really laser focused on what it is that you think for you and your organization are some of the most important things for us to be working on.
Hello, this is Marlon.
Marlon, good morning. How are you?
Doing good. One of the things, I know we talked about it on the executive committee meeting yesterday. One of the things I look at is being able to fill the positions at our technical colleges to be able to train the personnel we need to hire. We're losing a ton of employees due to their tenured years at our companies, but we're not only losing their bodies, we're losing all of that industry knowledge. So one of the things, I talked to one of the adjunct instructors at Lake Sumter State College, and I began to ask him questions about how tough was it to become an adjunct instructor. And he said, Marlon, it scared me. It was so easy. So, but one of the things we need from our state colleges and trade schools is a step-by-step video or white pages on how to talk to our retiring workforce to become adjunct instructors, because we're not only needing one instructor per program, we're probably needing 2 or 3, because none of our employees want to leave a 5-hour, 40-hour week job to go work another 40-hour week. So if we had 2 or 3 instructors per program, it'll make it a lot easier. And just, create a video maybe that we can supply to our members to share with their retiring employees.
And I think that's a great idea, Marlon. And we are doing the same thing, of course, at FP&L, right? We had a 32-year employee leave us who had spent some time before coming to us with a natural gas company up in New Jersey as well. And she retired. And all of that industry and company knowledge and product and service knowledge went right out the door with her, right? And so for us to be able to, just as you're saying, not only maybe have had her continue on in the education realm, but even to have taped some sessions with her so that our incoming sales team members could learn how she did it, right? She was an outstanding salesperson. And we really didn't capture that before she left. So I think that's a great opportunity to keep them engaged, keep our, those leaving our company in retirement engaged. So I'd love to hear from some of the schools as to what your expectations are from FEWC, if somebody wouldn't mind talking about that, Valerie or Mike.
This is Valerie from Fort Myers Technical College. You guys have been superb, to be honest, in kind of meeting our needs. I don't know if I'd say that there's something specific that we'd ask you guys to focus on, but what has been the biggest help to us is the networking. So when we needed a connection and talk to like Maureen or Marlon and ask, who do you know here? Or how do we get this? Or how do we do that? That's kind of been the biggest benefit to us of being involved with the FEWC.
And that's good. Thank you.
Yeah, I would concur wholeheartedly with Valerie. The network that FEWC provides educational institutions is invaluable. Many of the initiatives and training that we want to conduct is dependent upon our connection to industry, and you guys provide that link. So we're greatly appreciative of it.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm sorry, who was that just spoke?
Oh, that was Mike Ramsey, St. Petersburg College.
Mike, thank you. Colleen, if you're still on the call, I'd love to hear from your perspective at the Solar Center, what your expectations are, or how are we fulfilling your needs as a member?
Hey, Lynn. Yeah, thanks for asking for my 2 cents. Solar is kind of the, I guess I'd call it maybe the red-headed stepchild of this organization, and I completely understand that this is really a utility-driven group, but I think there's going to be a surge in solar employment, and I think it's going to be not just at the level of the current industry, but as more and more utilities take on solar projects, they're going to need a trained solar workforce as well. And I know, for example, TECO is looking to get into training solar technicians. So I guess I'd like just to see a little bit more discussion about the role that alternative energy has to play in the energy workforce in Florida. We do K-12 training. FP&L has been a great supporter of our K-12 teacher training programs, as have, some of the other utilities. But I'd actually like to see some more alternative energy apprenticeship programs developed. And I think we need the utility companies, we need the unions, and we also need the state colleges and the technical schools to support that kind of effort.
That's awesome. Thank you. Yes, I had read recently about solar panels, right? And probably our representative from FP&L could speak to this better, but they were struggling with being able to hire technicians for the ongoing maintenance of some of those. And while I know it's minimal, there is still some panels get damaged or whatever the case may be. But that's now that we've got them all up and they're running wonderfully, how do we maintain them? How do we service them? So kind of a whole new world, right, to develop. Thank you, Colleen, for that. I'm wondering if David is still with us from TECO.
Yes, David Puzzo from Tampa Electric TECO. Yeah, we are getting into solar actually, and we are developing right now a training program to bring up to make solar technicians. Because you can't hire the person right off the street, and you got to make sure they know all of the stuff, and so that's what we're doing. The other big thing about FEWC I'd like to say is, and Maureen's talked about it, Isabel's talked about it, is that connection back to the schools. How do we lay that foundation in the school systems that say, hey, wait a minute, we have good jobs, they pay well, they're here, they're reliable. And when we're not a dirty, nasty, coal-covered, grimy job thing. And how do you make, I guess more directly, how do you make upper management aware that this is enough of a priority that it should be or needs time investment and money investment?
That's a good point, David. And I have, again, since coming to this organization a little more a year ago, I'm trying to develop a workforce program within FPU, right? And it's a challenge because we all know that people are retiring from our organization, and we have probably a network of 30 or so partners, contractors. We call them our energy partners, and they are struggling to maintain their staff as well. And so you wonder, about the future. And it's sort of like sometimes we all talk about it, but really, what are we doing about it? So in creating a committee at FPU to really look at, our future is a really important thing. And that would have never happened if I hadn't have come in contact with FEWC. And I'm not saying we're there yet. It's going to take a while, I'm sure, but at least I've started planting those seeds. So yeah, I appreciate that.
Hey, David, if you wouldn't mind, could you share a few more details about that solar training program you guys are beginning to launch, what the focus is, and what your goal is at the end of that program?
Sure. Actually, like I said, I'm working on it. I was working on it yesterday, and I'll work on it as soon as I hang up here. We are developing a training program to take a person, a company employee, maybe they came over from the power plant, or maybe they came from somewhere else, or maybe they came off the street, and grow them up to be a solar tech, maintain the solar plant, the fields, the panels, the inverters, all the other subsystems there. And got some information and, trying to scrounge around. Most of the stuff that's out there seems to be oriented towards the commercial person that installs a solar panel on your roof. And we're looking at something different. So a lot of this stuff is coming up from scratch.
Thank you, sir.
Sure.
Thank you, David.
Okay.
I know we have a representative from DC Jaeger Corporation. And I'm sorry, I didn't catch your first name. Maybe Rod? maybe you're no longer. I was just curious to know what your company does and from that perspective. Okay, so we got schools in, we got some of our businesses to help us here. We've got Duke, and is there someone from Duke on the line still with us? Okay.
Hey there, still here.
Oh, okay. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Anything from your perspective as to how, Isabel, we're doing for you?
I echo the comments mentioned earlier. The ability to network with other industry partners and then also the schools all on one platform has been instrumental to us being able to fulfill our needs for workforce development. I don't have any comments to add about what we might be missing. So far, everything's working out really well for us.
That's excellent. Well, thank you, Isabel, for sharing that. And so I would just leave you, sorry. I would just leave you with the idea that if you, I'm sure you're all part of other organizations as well. And again, I would just, if you have any ideas to bring back, please do. I know that Lindsay probably will share this deck with everyone, and I think our contact information is on it. You know, we want to provide value for your time, effort, energy, and money. And I think we do that really well. I think there's a lot of opportunities, as Maureen was talking about earlier, for us to expand and grow the organization. And so I'm really looking forward to being a part of this group. It's been a great pleasure of mine. So again, thank you all for participating today. We really appreciate your time. And I will turn it back over to Maureen.
Thank you, Lynn. Appreciate that. We have one other speaker that I'm going to have talk to us briefly. That would be David Mueller. We are very fortunate in Florida. Many years ago, really at the start of this organization, we had a number of folks that founded this organization that approached the state of Florida. Many of us are familiar with the career clusters, and there was not a career cluster in energy. And so our founding members from Gulf Power, from Career Source, as well as Lakeland Electric, approached the DOE. I probably don't have all the details right. And we were one of the first states to have a career cluster in energy. And we are supported by David Mueller, who's on the phone with us today. He does not miss a meeting. He keeps us up to date with what's happening from the State Department of Education. And David had some things that he wanted to bring to our attention. And then, as we have promised, we are going to get you finished promptly at noon. I want to thank you for joining us today. I'm going to come on one more time at the end with just a couple of other announcements. So I'm going to turn it over to David. Thank you.
Hello, folks. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. I've got some video here as well. And this was, it's been a crazy few weeks for me here. A lot going on. I won't bore you with all the details, but I literally kind of pulled this presentation out of a career cluster update presentation that we did a few weeks ago, just this morning. So it was a race. Anyway, if you'd advance the next slide, that'd be great. And the next one. Okay, there's some information about what I do. I'm a state supervisor of the Florida Department of Education, in charge of architecture, construction, energy, and marketing. And I'm very pleased to be associated with FEWC and to be able to work with a bunch of the folks here. There's some great programs out there, and I'm looking forward to promoting them and see what we can advance for the future. Also a grant manager for Florida DECA, Collegiate DECA, and Skills USA. So it keeps me busy. There's my email and phone number if anybody needs to get in touch with me. Okay, so every 3 years we do program reviews for each program. It's a state law. So we divide our programs up into a third, so we aren't too swamped in any given year. So for the 2020 reviews that were completed this last spring, there were no energy programs with secondary. There was one career certificate program for natural gas operations and distribution. Unfortunately, we don't have any enrollments in that program currently. And I know Marlon and some others were going to try to get that thing kick-started. I don't know where we stand on that, but I would love to see that program get going again. If you know of any schools or any industries that have that need, you might want to work with your local school districts to see if we can get something going at one of the technical colleges. Also reviewed on the degree and certificate program side, the AS degree for energy management and controls technology, as well as the AS degree for electrical power technology, and then the college credit certificate program, alternative energy engineering technology. All those reviews went well, and I've got some updates to make for those frameworks for the 21-22 school year. Next slide. Okay, for next year, again, no secondary programs are going to be reviewed. All the secondary programs are going to be reviewed in 2022. So career certificate program, we've got electrical line worker. Degree and certificate programs, we've got electrical distribution technology and those associated college credit certificate programs there. So we're always looking for review committee volunteers. I don't know if we're going to be able to do any on-site reviews. It may be all remote. The ones we did last year or last spring were done via WebEx. And the format worked out pretty nicely. So we'll see what happens this next spring. Next slide. So we also talked about any program changes for the career cluster. And for energy, we didn't have any new programs come on board. There were no changed or daggered or deleted programs to report. So we got some miscellaneous program information I'd like to share. And I mentioned this about natural gas operations. So we're hoping to see some enrollments for this one for the next school year. That would be great if we could. Just a little bit of information here about the energy technician program. It's got the highest secondary enrollment of all the energy programs. And on the post-secondary side, electrical line service and repair continues to lead those enrollments. So that's a very popular, strong program. And then NCCER, electrical level 1 certification, is the #1 cert in energy. And I just want to thank, if anybody's on the call that participated in the reviews, thank you so much for doing that. Next slide. Okay, this is the one I literally threw together this morning. There's some funding opportunities out there. I didn't have a chance to really get a list of them all, but if you go to the Florida DOE website that's listed there, there are quite a few funding opportunities. There's, and I'm just reading through the list here. There's a CARES Act grant program, Pathways to Career Opportunities grant program. There's Carl Perkins grant opportunities and many more. So, yep, and there's the website. There's a lot of information there. It's really too much to talk about during this session, but take a look at those, and you might be able to work with your district, some of the colleges or technical colleges, and to get some of this funding that might benefit the energy programs. Okay, and if you go back to that previous slide, yeah, there's a brand new entrepreneurship education and training grant. That entrepreneurship is a very big thing for the Department of Education Commissioner Richard Corcoran And our chancellor, Henry Mack, is really pushing this hard. So there's $1 million available with this grant. It is available to the school districts, and it's for secondary and post-secondary. So any program, it's not just for entrepreneurship in the marketing career cluster. Any program can really incorporate entrepreneurship principles. For example, maybe somebody wants to start up a electrical line worker contractor program. That falls into the entrepreneurship category. So there's a lot of money available here. It's going to be doled out in, let's see if I get this right, $100,000, $50,000, and $25,000 chunks, depending on the district's level involvement with entrepreneurship related programs. And we're pushing any kind of program into this entrepreneurship way of thinking. That proposal is available there at that link. We had let's see, all the training webinars on that third bullet, and the registration information is available on that third link I've got there. It's a digital flyer that we're promoting for this program, these grant opportunities. So there's more information about those upcoming webinars and how to register for them. And then the first recording that we did for the applicants, it was a workshop to start getting applicants or the districts essentially familiar with how to apply for these grants. So I can send out some emails related to this that has all this information in email if Maureen or Lindsay wants to forward it on to you if anybody's interested. But there are some wonderful opportunities out there. And that's really all I had. If anybody has any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them.
Hey, David, how you doing? This is Marlon.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, man, first of all, congratulations on the wedding, man.
Oh, thank you so much.
Hey, about the gas curriculum.
Yeah.
We're currently working with a couple schools here in Central Florida. We really want to push that, knowing the demand that technicians that are needed in our gas industry. We're currently working with a couple of our members at Reedy Creek. And we've also talked to Lynn about it. So we really would like to keep that on the books. It's something that we really want to push here going forward.
Okay, that sounds great. I'd love to see it get kick-started again. Can you share who those two schools were, or you want to do that offline?
I'll do it offline.
Okay.
If there's any on who are still on here, you know who you are. If you want to talk to David about it, but if not, we can talk in private about it. But we are in talks right now. We've had several virtual calls already about it, and they're very eager to be on board with it.
Well, that sounds great. Thanks for sharing, Marlon.
Hey, David, this is Isabel. Can you kind of describe for us what those program reviews would consist of, what that process entails, and what the time commitment would be for someone that would volunteer to be a part of that committee to review?
Absolutely. Yeah, essentially what we do is we'll take the career cluster framework for the program that we're reviewing, and we'll put that into a format that's a little more user-friendly. It's got some instructions about doing the review, and essentially we're looking at to see if this stuff is all still relevant. Does it need to change? Is there we have basic standards, and then the benchmarks associated to meet those standards. If any of those are out of date, we'll ask to change them or delete them. If there's new ones that need to be added, we've even added brand new standards and brand new benchmarks into these programs to try to keep them current. If there's, we're looking to get either instructors or industry professionals who might be on the review committee or on the advisory board for the school we'd like to get about a 50-50 mix of industry professionals and educators. It's not a huge commitment of time. If we're doing the review via email or WebEx, you can just contribute that way. If we're doing it on site, then ideally it would be nice to have your review done prior. You essentially mark up the document or send it back electronically. And that way I can share all the revisions one document when we're doing a presentation.
How long would you say it might take someone to go through the curriculum on their own and prepare for that discussion?
Okay. It of course would vary depending on the size of the curriculum, but certainly I wouldn't think, if you're familiar with the program, probably no more than, I would say, 4 to 8 hours.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful.
Okay, great.
All righty. Well, I thank you, David. We promised to get everyone out on time, so we're going to wrap up. I want to thank everyone for sticking with us. Our first opportunity to have a virtual meeting. Lindsay is going to be soliciting some feedback. I know if we had met in person, we probably would have had additional topics, but we really felt that keeping this to 3 hours was about all of that we wanted to do virtually. Our goal will be to have an in-person meeting in the spring. I think for all of us, we're eager to do that, and all of that will be determined by how things go in our state by spring, and also the restrictions that our own companies, schools, et cetera, might have with regard to meeting. So that will be our goal. We're a little off schedule with our meetings. Typically we meet in the summer and then January. So I would say our executive committee would like to shoot for an in-person meeting in March. And again, we're going to continue to monitor that. We will continue to hold a quarterly call for those that can join us for updates. Those last about an hour, take place usually on a Friday. Certainly, we'd like to continue to hear from you, things we're doing well, things that you would like us to consider doing, as we've discussed with Lynn today. Again, I want to thank you. I know that we're all working very hard virtually. We appreciate your support of this organization. And of course, we know how important it is for our industry to move forward and have others join us on our essential business. And hopefully we can continue to carry that message out to those that we interact with. So with that, I'm going to close. Again, thank you for your time, and we look forward to hearing from you in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Stay safe.
Stay safe. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.